Hello and welcome back to another video. If you're looking for recommendations on what manhwa to read, then here are some that I've read recently that might be of interest. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for this week is Ian the Illegitimate Son Was an Emperor, a fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 88 on. Its main character is, as you would expect, Ian, an emperor of the Burial Empire who was also a wizard. This, though, was short-lived as his nephew, someone he trusted very much, betrayed him and ousted Ian from the throne. Before losing his life, though, Ian, alongside the help of his teacher and friend Naum, utilized time-space magic to send Ian back in time to prevent these things from ever happening. The result of their action, though, actually sent Ian 100 years back, and as another Ian, specifically one that was a bastard son of a Margrave family on the border of the Burial Empire. Now stuck in this particular time, Ian will have to ensure his survival and figure out the reason why he was sent back to this time period instead of their original intention. The story is 8 out of 10. An actual reason for being sent back in time is a good start. And now having to face the reality of his current situation and make the best out of it is at least a good motivator. Discovering why he was sent to this period and not their original intention has Ian stooped, at least at the moment, but he's curious to the larger destiny at hand, as it seems. The characters are 9 out of 10. Considering the position he was able to achieve in his first life and knowing some of the history of the Empire, Ian is able to grasp the time period he is in quite quickly. His talented nature allows him to awake the powers within him, but he knows that he cannot do things alone and will have to utilize relationships, both good and bad, to help move the situation to his benefit. The art is 8 out of 10. From the capabilities of now just Ian, but those he chooses to surround himself with, we're able to see the foundation of seemingly the next ruler maybe start here. Or maybe the old ruler, more like it, but due to the time nature of this as well. There could be some consequences that we, and Ian though, have not realized could happen just yet. So if you enjoy fantasy manhwas and wanted one where the main character gets sent back in time and might have effects on the present future of his, then Ian the Illegitimate Son Was an Emperor is definitely an interesting one to pick up. This next manhwa to take a look at is the SSS-Class Cafe in Front of the Dungeon, a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 40 on. Weird naming scheme aside, the protagonist of this tale is Kwon-Ri-ul, a normal white-collar office worker living in a version of modern-day Korea that is typical for modern action fantasies. For those unfamiliar, think of dungeons or portals appearing one day where it's full of monsters and the Awakeners or hunters to fight against it. Rio, being so fed up with her job, wanted to finally quit and back out. To her bad luck, though, she falls into an unexpected dungeon opening where presumably she loses her life. Instead of reincarnating though, she finds herself waking up back in the past a couple of years ago, and this time she wants to actually quit her job now and own a cafe of her dreams. Life though clearly has other plans as she awakens to a cafe owner job class. Okay, go on. The story is 7 out of 10. Running a cafe right in the smack dab entrance of a dungeon is quite the decision to make. The more funny part is that it's depicted right as the only building or place there. Suspend your belief of reality for a moment, it's an okay setup overall for what is seemingly a romance story in the modern fantasy world, especially since a cafe owner class is at least unique. The characters are 7 out of 10. It is very easy to identify who is the male lead, and also easy to determine what walls the relationship will take in the particular setting. The overall motivations and reasons why Rio takes action is a little bit forced though. It's not really natural and evokes a more Deus Ex Machina mechanic rather than feeling like it's her own choice. Although maybe that's just the vibe they're going for though. The art is 8 out of 10. One thing it does have going for it though is the cozy art style that it provides. Even from the introduction, it's able to mix that modern fantasy world with an art that says, I'm not taking myself seriously. So the expectations and what happens are actually really fluid and don't cause any kind of whiplash that you might expect with the genre. So if you enjoy modern fantasy romance manhwas similar to Dungeon Food Truck Owner or Welcome to the Dungeon Hotel from my previous videos, fans of the genre should definitely start reading the SSS-Class Cafe in Front of the Dungeon. The Book-Eating Actor is the name of our next manhwa to take a look at. It's a modern manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 45 on. Do Jae-hee is the name of its main character. An aspiring actor, Jae-hee's efforts only really allowed him to play insignificant roles with no recognition or fame. Other actors from his same batch, and even those younger than him, looked at him with arrogant eyes due to Jae-hee's persistence without anything to show for it at all. That is, until one day he sees a system pop-up of sorts that allows him to absorb scripts. Like any other curious person, Jae-hee utilizes this skill and he sees the benefit and possibility of what it could help him accomplish. Time for him to take over the showbiz world by storm. The story is 7 out of 10. Rising through the showbiz industry through a system fantasy power for the field of acting is actually kind of par for the course in this particular genre. The introduction reminds me of some other acting manhwas that I've covered. I want to see if it can provide a variety of interesting scenes, movies, or drama that Jae-hee would need to work with before I can truly say that the story is good or bad. The characters are 8 out of 10. Just from the initial couple of chapters, I thought that there would be a possibility where Jae-hee would fall into the exact same traps or attitudes of those that succeeded before him. So clearly there is some room for personal growth alongside his professional career blossoming. This doesn't prevent him from being quite petty and prioritizing having revenge on people in particular though. The art is 8 out of 10 as well. What starts off as an explanation of the powers that Jae-hee acquires, actually to its benefit, tapers off to be more of an implied ability and part of Jae-hee as a whole. It doesn't become the focus and honestly, helps it deliver the situations that Jae-hee is now able to get through those powers. So if you're a fan of modern acting manhwas, especially those that have some sort of system for the main character, like I was immediately mistaken for a Monster Genius actor from my previous videos, then fans of the genre should start looking at the book Eating Actor. The shorter story I have for you this week is Tang Clan Legend, a Mura manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 19 on. The focus of this story is on Tang Mu-jin, a young member of the Tang family from Sichuan, a commonly referred to family in Mura manhwas, but it's usually associated with poison and hidden weapons. In this particular case though, it's more focused on the doctor or physician side as Mu-jin is the son of a doctor, learning and honing his medical practice through his father's instruction. That is, of course, until he dreamed one day of being Ouyezi, a famed blacksmith of that historical era. And somehow, those same blacksmithing skills transferred to him? What more, he seems to have captured the attention of a wandering doctor martial artist that combines both saving and eliminating those as he sees fit. What lies in the future of our young Mu-jin? The potential is 8 out of 10. Considering that right from the get-go, we have a mix of medical, Muram, and blacksmithing aspects put in front of our main character. There is an assortment of branches that this plot could go, and from that aspect, considering I like medical manhwas as a whole, having one be set in the Muram world is at least more of an uncommon point of view. The art, though, is 7 out of 10. With some rough edges here and there, the manhwa is clearly still finding a proper foothold of how to portray its characters and story. Given Mu-jin's many potential talents, I need more time to truly say if it has the capability to deliver all three genres from action, medical, and forged blacksmithing scenes. The teasers from the early chapters, though, give me some hope. So if you're interested in newer stories and the mix of medical and Muram genres with a dash of blacksmithing to boot sounds like an interesting time to you, then make sure to keep Tang Clan Legend in your purview for the future. Welcome to the highlight portion of today's video. Our highlight today is House Mayton's Youngest, which I've now read up to chapter 99 on. Info card description will have links to my original opinion. Rasen Mayton is of course our main character. Initially an author in his previous life, he has blonde hair now. Rasen has to find ways to survive in the Swordmaster Sade novel that he wrote in his previous life. Given that I've read 30 plus chapters since I've last covered this manhwa, to be quite honest, there has not been any significant plot revelations of the sort that I would point out. Yes, Rasen has been busy having to navigate the weirdly difficult yet easy political climate of the three great families of the world, even becoming friends with those of the same age as him. What ends up becoming an interesting device, though, is the fact that he's still writing the novel through the system, and there are prices to pay for the changes that he constantly makes. My previous scores for this manhwa were 9 out of 10 for story, 8 out of 10 for characters, and 7 out of 10 for art. The story goes down to an 8 out of 10. Given that the nature of the work that Rasen left it at, it is so full of plot holes that it constantly has to be shored up by his own writing now. What I do enjoy though is the fact that he can't just cheat or come up with random ways to fix the story. Instead, it actually has to make sense within that realm of possibility. Its only fault for me is how slow it is to get anywhere meaningful though. The characters stay the same at 8 out of 10. Those characters we get to see early on are truly the core, and no one is really wasted in their potential, or at least for now. Rasen himself, alongside his friends and companions going through the journey to get stronger, is clearly building up to something more. We just don't really know what that is at the moment. Which just leaves the art, which my opinion goes up to an 8 out of 10. If there is one thing that has been a highlight over the past 30 or so mod chapters, it's the fact that Rasen actually is having to struggle against the challenges that face him. Plus the fact that we actually get to see him start utilizing that mixed power set of both fighting spirit and mana that his constitution allows. House Mayton's youngest continues its slow, but steady, progress in the flawed self-written world from its author. For those that enjoy fantasy manhwas with a slower pace but a small set of focused characters, then House Mayton's youngest is at least worth a try. Would you agree or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on House Mayton's youngest.